Hello, welcome to the THC Show. I'm Neil Magnuson, your host. This is the show where we talk about truth, hope, and change. You know, those three important things in life. It's good to understand the truth. I think that all of us are truth seekers to some degree. You know, when you seek the truth, you find out some things that maybe you're not so happy about. And so for that, it's good to have some hope, and that's why hope's in there. In fact, I think hope is one of the most important things going on in our world. We certainly all need to have some hope. Without it, there's nothing but despair and really no reason to go on. And so we do try to provide some hope both on this show and in life in general. And change is what we need, because the things that we find out about that we're not happy about can be changed if we go about it the right way. So we look for mechanisms of change. Certainly in this topic that we have here going on with the whole legalization of cannabis and access to medical cannabis, and that's primarily what the show focuses on. There's a lot of room for change and a lot of things to be not happy about. On the show today, by the way, we'll have 8 out of 10 Glenn join us for the 420 session as always, and Jerry Martin is here for the Martin Medical Moment coming up after that. We've had quite a run here in the whole pursuit of freedom and in the issue with cannabis legalization. It's been going on for all of my lifetime and a very, very long time. The laws against cannabis possession and growing and selling go back a long way into the very start of the 1900s and moved up through federal laws against cannabis in the 30s. By the time I was born, it had been illegal for a very long time, and it had been quite a war. There had been a lot of people arrested. There had been a lot of money spent. And a large campaign, a misinformation campaign. They like to call it misinformation, but really it's just downright lies about cannabis. It went from causing people to be violent and insane and super strong and raping and killing and all of that, to making people too docile to go to war and lazy and stupid. And now we know that all of that was all a bunch of bullshit. None of that is true. Cannabis is a plant that has grown up in this environment with us over millions of years, and we have a very symbiotic relationship with this plant. We developed, along with the other vertebrates, an endocannabinoid system where the same chemistry found on the cannabis plant is a big part of our human body and how we work and how we deal with things. You just got to Google the endocannabinoid system. It's a whole topic on itself about how that one system in the body regulates and overrides and sends out what needs to be sent out to deal with all the traumas and the issues that people have as they're living their lives. It really maintains homeostasis amongst all of the other systems in the body, and that's its goal. It's kind of, cannabis is kind of like the cannabinoids are kind of like the oil of the system, of the mechanics of the human body, and it just makes everything move a lot more smoothly. And so there's this big campaign to demonize it that went on for all this time and to lie about it. And what that was all about was never because there was just stupid people who thought it did make you violent or thought it did make you stupid and lazy. It's always about trying to protect financial interests. It's always about money. That's the issue we have as human beings, is we have these two fields of ethics that we have to try to operate within. There's the human ethics of how we feel and how we think about each other and the love that we have for each other and all those things that are to do with the human side of ethics. And then there's the business ethics, where all that's about is making the almighty dollar, and everything's about profit and maximizing profits. And these two fields of ethics are what's been in conflict with each other for a very long time. And the biggest example of where the corruption is happening to do with that is when it comes to cannabis. Because cannabis is this plant that has so many benefits. It is like the buffalo was to the natives, or the whales, and we can use every part of the cannabis plant, and it has so many facets to it. There's thousands, tens of thousands of different uses for the cannabis plant, and many of them very, very profound and extremely beneficial and extremely necessary for the human condition. As I said, we have an interior cannabinoid system that creates these same chemicals for us, but it does it out of the foods that we eat, and we don't get enough of the essential fatty acids that are required to make all of these cannabinoids that we need to have our human bodies function properly. They figure about 85% of humans in North America are deficient in the essential fatty acids. And cannabis is then a supplement for those systems. So we supplement our body's ability to react to things with the cannabis plant, and it is just so beneficial for that. It also makes some of the best clothing and fabric in the world. It's one of the best fuel sources in the world, 10 times more efficient than corn for making ethanol fuel. And it just goes on and on and on, all of the benefits. And it turns out that any of the downsides that we were all told about growing up were all just lies, because other places that had patents for things that they wanted to own and control just didn't want the cannabis plant to be out there in the marketplace. And so there was a huge conspiracy that had all kinds of different arms and legs to it, that all work together to try to keep this plant prohibited from people for growing and selling and even possessing and using, all because it's so valuable. Never, ever really because it was dangerous in any way, shape, or form. But the safest therapeutically compound found in nature, according to Francis Young, the DEA judge in 1987. So, you know, this amazingly valuable and beneficial plant that is in our environment is being restricted and kept from us due to governments who are in the control of corporations that want to sell you their stuff. And that's what this has all been about. And it's been such a horrible, horrible run. And it's still going on now in 2020, 2021 coming up in 3 days. And we still got all this stuff going on. We have fought for legalization, and we're given it, but not what we asked for. Legalization has just been an attempt to continue to wipe out the activists that are looking for freedom for this plant and for people in general. And so legalization means that they're artificially hiking the price up to even beyond what it was during Prohibition, and Prohibition prices were outrageous. And these big companies are all fighting over who gets that market share. And the government is using our tax dollars to try to run that protection racket to keep those prices high. And everybody who is wanting to grow or sell cannabis, if they don't join the government cartel, well, they're still criminals, and the penalties are even higher. And so we're still wasting tax dollars. We're still ruining people's lives, all because this plant is so valuable. There's nothing anymore about how dangerous it is. All you hear is story after story about how good it is. It helps with people with PTSD. It helps with people sleep. It helps now with inflammation. Of course, it's an anti-inflammatory. And when we've got this COVID pandemic running around and what they're looking for is anti-inflammatories, well, that's why you see so many news reports coming out about how cannabis is effective as an anti-inflammatory and could well be part of the cure for COVID or the vaccine for COVID or all of these different things. It's the most beneficial plant in our environment. It should be free for everyone to use and obtain as easily as they want and as it should be, like any other commodity. It's easy to grow. It provides more biomass than most other crops that you grow. So, you know, this is all just a huge scam that we've been the victims of for a very, very long time. I mean, now we've got some of these big companies that are merging with each other to take over more market share, and I'm sure they're all lobbying hard to make sure that we don't get any cheap cannabis out there in our environment, that the government doesn't allow for like what we would call low barrier access to cannabis, that they keep all these prices high. You know, there's all sorts of movements going on the corporate side of cannabis, and all of it is just obscene and disgusting. We've got Canopy Growth suing GW Pharmaceutical for the rights to the CO2 extraction equipment. Well, neither of those companies were the first ones to use that, and neither of those companies deserve to have that. But these are the fights that are going on in the corporate world, all because of this extremely valuable plant and how well it helps people, for sure. I saw a thing that said, a headline that said, medical cannabis not always cheap as big pharma. Well, that's only because of the artificially raised prices and the restrictions and the regulations that are being put on by government. Absolutely, cannabis would be cheaper than any big pharma product, and we could all be growing it in our backyards and allowed to buy it any way and any time that we want. We need to have stores where we can go and buy cannabis that's reasonable, that's reasonably priced, that has a wide variety of things, that sells it to us in the way that we want. You know, like most other stores that you walk into, like grocery stores that have all their products displayed, or drug stores that you walk into and you can look at most of what they have there, although you can't open the packages and smell them, but who would want to do that anyway? But with cannabis, that's what people want, and they should be able to have that. So we're still fighting for that. And on that note, there is a Health Canada survey that's in the works right now. You have until January 11th to fill this out. And I would recommend that we all put our input into Health Canada. I'm cynical that they pay any attention to us, but let's tell them anyway, because that is kind of the only thing that we have, and the only way that we can affect change on that level as somebody who really doesn't have any other ways is you can write letters, you can take part in these surveys, you can let Health Canada know, you can send some emails to these Health Canada people, and the Minister of Justice and Minister of Health and other people as well, and let them know how you're feeling. So here's an opportunity that's being provided by Health Canada. We'll provide that in the comments as a link. It's probably already there if I know Glenn, and you know, we'll also have that up. So there's that kind of stuff going on. And now there's a bust that happens in Surrey here, where they got a couple of people that are known to police, and they busted quite a few things there. There's 4 men that were arrested and released. Whether they're charged or not, it's hard to say. But it's a month-long investigation, and it's all about all the cannabis that they had. And they had shatter, and they had these other forms of cannabis, distillate and things like that. And it's just a waste of our tax dollars going on here. It's a huge waste of our tax dollars, but it's another big indication about what this whole legalization is all about. Is it corporate cannabis that's been legalized, or has it been cannabis in general? Because we want cannabis in general to be legalized. We want all to be non-criminals anymore. We don't want to be called criminals because we're growing plants in our backyard or in our basement, or because we're selling some to somebody because we need to get some extra money to pay our mortgage this month. And people should be able to interact with each other, I mean, the government's not there to stifle business. It's not there to put an end to commerce. It's not there to keep people from being able to make money so they can pay their mortgage and pay their rent and feed their families. And cannabis has been a great way for people for doing that for a very long time. There's been this underground market worth billions and billions of dollars. There's communities all across Canada that most of their income within that community comes from the production of cannabis, illegally, and has been for decades, and it's part of our economy. But here the government wants to step in and stop all of that. They've been trying to stop that with cannabis for a long time. You can grow tomatoes and you can grow other things and sell them on the side of the road or exchange them with your neighbors and stuff like that. But cannabis, oh no, they want to keep the lid on that, and they want to be the only ones selling that. And so, it's just crazy. We got this thing in Canada where they've legalized cannabis for sale for those people that are within the government system. And to do that, you got to be wealthy, you got to be connected, you got to be lucky. But it's not just for everybody, and it's not, and everybody should be able to take part in this. In New Jersey, for example, they've got legalization there, or proposed. It was voted for in the last election, and they approved it and everything. But now there's 3 lawsuits against that legalization, and that's a good thing because it's about corporate cannabis. They want to legalize cannabis so that it's legal for them and their friends to make all the money selling it at artificially hiked prices that everybody has to pay, because the other underground market is being stifled and put out by enforcement, by tax dollars being used to hire guys with guns to run around and make sure you're not growing some plants. The whole thing's gotten crazy. It's been too crazy for too long. But here we are. Excuse me. I gotta have a puff here. Really, it is so crazy for so long. It is upside down, backwards, and inside out. It is the craziest thing you can imagine. And that's what we're involved with here in Canada, is trying to legalize cannabis properly. That fight is not over by any means. And the way that we're coming at it now is that we need to have cannabis for people that can't afford to pay high prices for it. That poor people need cannabis too. And if cannabis was just a luxury item, then maybe not. Maybe we wouldn't have that ability. But things are so upside down. Cannabis is so valuable to the people that have no money, that are homeless, that are disenfranchised, that are suffering from mental illness, that have all kinds of health issues. Cannabis addresses all those. Remember, Google the endocannabinoid system. It helps with sleep, it helps with appetite, it helps with weight, it helps with pain, it helps with so many things. And yet, here we are having to fight to be able to do this service. We're doing it for free, and we're still being hassled by it. It's like, why do we have to go through all of this? It should be a no-brainer. I'm going to update as we go here after our next couple of sessions, and probably with Jerry as well, with what's going on with us. I mean, my regular viewers, you know what's going on with me and with us and where we are here. We're broadcasting again today from inside what was our cannabis store for 4.5 months, dating back to last June and up until the end of October. We had a store here. 420. My alarm's not going off and it's 420. How about that? Okay, well, we have other alarms. So there you go. We'll update you on our situation here momentarily. In the meantime, it's 4:20, so light them if you got them, and I'm going to have Glenn come in and
but explain where you were, though, but I have to let you know.
Well, yeah, Glenn and I'll continue on here.
Yeah,
so,
you don't have to stop just because of me.
No, but we do have to stop, pause, and and burn some sacrament and inhale some magical vapors.
Get healthy. Let's just get healthy.
Exactly, it's kept me healthy most of my life.
Me too.
So,
55,
this was a cannabis store. This was the ideal in a cannabis store. It was a low barrier access access point for people to come. We're here on the downtown east side of Vancouver.
Yep.
There's a huge problem here.
There is. There is. And we helped out at Christmas time. Helped them in.
Wow, we've been helping out in very profound ways.
Your fourth giveaway.
We were. This project started in conjunction with the other epidemic that's happening, which is the overdose crisis. About 5 years ago, people started dying of a tainted blood supply, or not blood, drug supply.
Drug supply, yeah. Tainted blood was.
Tainted blood came from the that was that.
Yeah.
But there became this crisis here, not just in Vancouver, but everywhere, where there was fentanyl, which is like 100 times more powerful than heroin, being added into certain drugs that, randomly it seemed, and a number of people were dying on a regular basis, and it became very well known that this was happening. Yeah. For me, I knew that just people that suffer with addiction, not the risk of dying from fentanyl, but just suffering from addiction, and by suffering I mean they're not happy.
No.
They would rather not be on the substance. Yeah. They would rather not be wired to it so that they need to do it 3, 4, 5 times a day.
They'd rather not having to go out and
They'd rather not have the health issues that go along with that. They would rather not have all the issues that go along with trying to maintain that and trying to get that day after day and subjecting themselves to all sorts of risky, dangerous situations. They want to not be there. That's what I'm saying. They're suffering with addiction. I mean, some people are addicted and they're okay with it. It's not a problem addiction. Yeah. We're all addicted to lots of things. But if you can get what you need, well, I'm addicted to air, for example.
I'm addicted to ladies.
Water, love, of course. Those are things that we're all addicted to. But if you can get it in a reasonable quantity that you need, then you're okay. When it's a drug that you've got to go and procure, and the drug is illegal, so you don't have a place you can just go and buy it. You've got to go and find somebody, on a street corner or have a hookup or something like that. And then there's all the issues with illegality that go along with that. Like you're purchasing it from people that want to exploit you, that want to rob you, that want to cheat you, all of these different things. The real issue is they can't stop easily. That's the real issue.
It's the withdrawals. Nobody wants to go through that. So it's either the withdrawal or the drug.
That's it. And they try to go through the withdrawals. Yeah. It's probably 3 or 4 days of hell. Yeah. And most people don't make it through, until they've tried it several times. Yeah. And it's really, really fucking hard. So that's where the edibles come in.
Yes, your high dose edibles help it make you. I think I've had a couple of people come in and say they had a good night's sleep instead of cracking out all night or hitting up fentanyl all night, day. Right? Yes. So so that's what happened. Getting there, It was because I had one of these stores illegally 16 years ago, and we provided cannabis-infused cakes and brownies to people. It didn't take very long. It was just 1 block over, and we're 1 block away from Main and Hastings. And my other store that I had that length of time ago, 16 years ago, was right at Main and Hastings, just down a half a block on Hastings. And I learned there that the edibles had the power to put people to sleep and to get them through withdrawal. Yep. And that's what people were reporting to us is, hey, a couple of good strong brownies, I can get right through the night. I can do that 3 nights in a row, and I can now not do heroin anymore. Feel a lot better the next day.
So that was a really interesting realization for me back then. Yeah. And I didn't think too much of it for, quite a while, for 10 years or so, until we have this other epidemic of overdose deaths.
Show its face,
back then, in the late 90s, which was before we had our store, they had another one of these go through. They called it China White, which was also fentanyl, but it was coming from China, and it was poisoning the drug supply, and a whole bunch of people were dying, and that resulted in the supervised consumption or injection sites that happened here.
Did you see the interview I sent you with the Prime Minister? Where he said, Insight BC is leading the way.
I liked what he said about that.
We only had 1 Insight, now we have a whole bunch of them across the country.
That's right.
But what I didn't like what he said was he was a little bit worried about doing the decriminalization of hard drugs. He said it wasn't sort of in his view right now, in that interview that I sent
That's always been the Liberal position.
Yes,
it's a really...
Can you send me that link? I'll put it in the show notes.
It's just a video.
Send it to me, though.
I'll send you the video.
Perfect.
Sure.
Thank you. Sorry.
Yeah, it's always been an issue for the Liberals, and it's a topic that is not cut and dried. We've tried prohibition for a long time.
Yeah.
We've tried having the government do the very best they could to discourage people from using these things, not having them available to them, prosecuting people and putting them in jail for selling them, and the rest of it has been going on for a very long time, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work. The attempt to prohibit substances increases the demand for those substances. It guarantees a dangerous underground supply for those substances. It causes great disrespect for the police. It puts their lives at risk. It causes great disrespect for governments who probably don't deserve it anyway. And that's maybe a good thing, that we learn to not trust our governments. But certainly people learn to not trust their governments when it comes to the prohibition of things like that. It just does not work. So what will work? Well, nothing's going to work 100%.
No.
Because people do drugs.
Yes.
People are in pain. People
Yep.
are suffering from emotional issues. People have mental health issues. People have desires to go on adventures. People do drugs. People are going to always do drugs. They're only going to do more drugs when you tell them they can't do drugs.
Exactly.
So you can't tell them they can't do it. That doesn't work. You can't try to prevent them from doing it. That doesn't work. It causes people to know that they're trying to be prevented from something, and that makes them curious, and that makes them rebellious. And because we don't trust governments anyway, they're going to do that, and young people especially.
So you're thinking that they have to go after the mental health issues so that people don't do the drugs?
I think that they have to have what people demand available to them,
Yeah.
with regulations that make sense.
Yeah.
Regulations that will do their very best to address the problem areas of those substances, whatever it is that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Be it age restrictions, and there's many things that a government can do in regulating. There's creative ways that people can be told about things. Because when people are really told the truth about things, most people want to do good for themselves.
Yeah.
They're just trying to help themselves if they're not distracted by trying to have to rebel against some stupid law that they don't understand, and now they're hurting themselves just to say fuck you to somebody for taking away their freedom.
Yeah.
But when people are free and they're given the right information and access to what it is that they think they want or need, they generally make pretty good decisions for themselves if the information is there. Mm-hmm. That's the biggest regulation that we need for just about everything that has problems to it, is just put it on the label, use it like this or this could happen, and tell the truth, and let people
just
make
like
their own
with
decisions.
those American medical commercials, this might have this side effect and this side effect. They should do sort of the same thing.
Those things need a whole bunch of explanations.
You might fall asleep on the couch when you smoke this or something like that, right?
Most things don't require that long a list of things that could go wrong.
Yeah, you might get hungry.
And for most people, when you see those commercials, and maybe people aren't watching the last half of those commercials.
No, I know. Right?
Because the last half is about it could cause diarrhea, obesity, loss of hair, everything, and including death.
Yeah.
But,
so why take it?
Yeah, don't take that shit. Don't take that shit. Just Google natural herbal remedies for things, and there's plants out there. We're made out of plants, right?
Yep. Cannabis is a
we're
plant.
just made out of sunshine that came through plants to get to us.
Yeah.
That's how that
pretty
works.
much it.
Exactly.
So I have a bit of a rant about Tim Hortons.
Oh.
They got this app online since COVID-19 came out.
Right.
And it will not reload my card. And the lady says for 8 weeks that she's been getting phone calls about this, that you can't reload your card.
I think you can reload it every 30 minutes or so.
I haven't been able to do it.
There's a whole bunch of restrictions to that app.
Yeah, for 2 months. So I've been telling them that I'm going to go after them if I have to stand, because they know I can't wear a mask. I have to stand in line in order to reload my card each time, because it won't work, right?
I see.
So for 2 months she's been getting these phone calls that this app doesn't work for the reload part.
Because they were talking about it. We give Tim Hortons a lot of business here.
Yeah, Canadian.
Not me personally. I stay away from the hard drugs. I'm not a coffee addict. But most of my,
I do ice
here
cap.
are.
I'm not a coffee. I just ice cap in the morning for me.
Ice cap?
Yeah.
That's caffeine though, right?
Yeah, because it's got espresso in it.
Okay, so you're a caffeine addict.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Small one.
if you didn't have one for a couple of days, would you get a headache?
No.
No symptoms?
No.
Okay,
no,
that's good.
Just one in a day, so it's not too bad.
It's physically addictive to a fair number of people.
Nicotine, caffeine.
Drink caffeine. So, I mean, cannabis should be regulated somewhere just below caffeine, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And treated as such. And in fact, look, that statement from Francis Young, the judge that was actually under the employ of the DEA that had to rule on the efficacy and safety of cannabis. And his statement is that cannabis, it's a little bit, it's a longer paragraph, but the one in the 3/4 of the way through, he says, is one of the safest compounds found in nature.
Yeah.
Therapeutically active. Safest therapeutically
Probably
active
safer
compounds.
than caffeine. Or
nicotine. Definitely safer than caffeine.
Yeah.
So, it should be regulated accordingly.
Yeah.
I know that Neil, shout out to Neil here, our producer over there. He does such fine work, and he was talking about the survey that we mentioned before that Health Canada's got that you can fill out there. And his answer to just about all the questions was, well, why the hell would you need any regulations? It's cannabis we're talking about. It's just cannabis,
yeah.
It's just cannabis.
We only need regulations because the government said it was bad for us. Now we think that we need regulations because other people have been told it's bad.
Well, they're capitalizing.
And then people say it, yes.
They're capitalizing on all of that misinformation in the past about how cannabis is dangerous.
Yeah.
And they're going to protect the children, from cannabis and all the rest of it. And they're saying all of that, and there could be contaminants, apparently. Mm-hmm. That, these other products, that's what they said about the products that they seized in Surrey, was that it's illegal cannabis products, so you never know if there could be dangerous elements in those cannabis products. Even though there's never been a case of dangerous elements in the cannabis products to any extent. I can't say there's never been a case. It could happen. I'm sure it could.
It would burn
but
black
it just doesn't,
It wouldn't burn so clean if
the
there was
people
something
making
on it.
cannabis products, they want to make money. They want to put out a good product. That's what business is all about. They're usually cannabis consumers themselves. They're ethically fairly sound as a result. That's a whole other conversation we can have about how cannabis provides you with, at least the ability to think about what you're going to do and what you do and how you do it and whether it's the right thing or wrong thing to do. There's a lot of right and wrong within the cannabis experience. You know? So
and a lot of it's right, but a lot of the government told us a lot of wrong stuff.
They told us a lot of wrong stuff.
Yeah.
And thankfully, it's cannabis we're talking about. They could tell you wrong stuff about alcohol, and you could try it, and you wouldn't know.
No. you
Too
would
drunk
remember.
to figure it out.
You would remember,
But with cannabis, you ingest, I don't want to just say smoke, there's lots of other ways to take it, but, you smoke some cannabis, and all of a sudden you're thinking about, hey, man, why are we paying so much taxes for?
Yeah.
What is that all about? And if you look into it, you'd see that, there's things that require taxes, and we should pay taxes, and it's a really good thing if we all pay taxes, and we all get benefits of what that money can do for us. Now the trick is to put it into the hands of good money managers who have ethics that will spend it wisely on our behalf.
Yeah.
That part of it we haven't quite figured out yet. Like the whole taxation thing is not a bad idea, but some things don't make any sense. Like putting on 3 levels of tax on cannabis before it gets into the legal non-medical stores. That doesn't make any sense.
Nope.
Why would you tax cannabis?
Because apparently it's bad for you.
But
they need money
it isn't.
to counteract it.
But that's the thing.
I know.
That's the thing. Doctors prescribe this stuff.
Yeah, some do.
For a huge variety of conditions.
Some will not.
So it's medicine.
Yeah.
It's medicine.
Some will say
whether some want to or not.
He doesn't know what amount to give you because he hasn't had any studies on it. That's a common line that you hear.
So I guess we have to throw in this qualifier that you can't really trust your doctors either because they work for a pharmaceutical cartel that really wants nothing to do with the herb that they can't control properly.
You yourself can educate your doctor like I have. I had a young doctor that came from South Africa. He was just young and came to Mission. I've been having him for 20 years. He was definitely against cannabis, would not ever sign my MMAR or ACMPR. But now, today, he tells me when I do my videos to make sure I tell you guys to eat healthy when you smoke cannabis. He's right on board right now. He's seen
more and more all the time.
Yeah, the improvements I've made with my life with cannabis, and he is now definitely on board. So this is a white doctor from South Africa.
That's a testament to cannabis, and that's a testament to how valuable and real the benefits from cannabis are.
That you can
because these doctors, who really, no kidding, I mean, they work for pharmaceutical companies. The pharmaceutical companies pay more for their education than we do through our taxes, and they are controlled by those. Every cure they have is pharmaceutically based. It's just what the world we live in.
Yeah.
But the fact that they have to, in many cases, prescribe it, that they do prescribe it in many cases, that there's now, I don't know how many people in Canada, there's got to be hundreds of thousands of people in Canada that have doctor's scripts for cannabis to use it for a variety of different
Health Canada
things.
is saying that we're growing too much, apparently. There's a little news article this week about that one, too.
And there I'd like to know, if you're growing too much, where's the victim?
Yeah.
Who is it that's being harmed by you growing too much? Are you being harmed by growing too much? Because I don't think that's the case.
The government's pocketbook is being harmed
exactly.
right, by us growing too much. Yes.
So this is medicine that people use used for a variety of health issues, including sleep aid, violence suppressor.
Every night I use it.
So many things people find, and pain. I mean, how many people over 45 aren't in pain?
Yeah.
I mean, they're all in pain. So cannabis helps with pain and all these other things. And yet the government is restricting its access. Is you can only grow 4 plants. You know, you have to buy it off of us, and we're only selling non-medical, by the way. You know, how stupid is this? The government will sell you weed. They'll tell you that it's non-medical.
Yeah.
They're not allowed to tell you of any benefits that it might have.
No.
It is non-medical based on how they
Even
they
if you
grow
work
it.
there, you can't tell anybody.
No, you're not allowed to talk about the benefits, even though we know there's a lot of benefits. As I just mentioned, doctors are prescribing it, millions of people are using it. So it just, this whole thing makes no sense, but only lots of money for a select few people. And that has to stop.
That has to stop.
That has to stop.
I agree with you. Yes.
It's getting to the point where I'm beyond everything now. I mean, I was tired, overwhelmed, distressed, angry, all of those things through all this time that I've been doing this. And now I'm just beyond all of it. I'm just like, enough already.
Yeah.
You know? Like, you know, I can't handle it. Because here's the deal. For those that we were trying to educate before a little bit, I had a store here. From June to October, we had a beautiful store. We had low barrier access to cannabis, which means no ID. As long as you look to be over 18, we're going to sell you what we have. And we have a variety of everything you could use in the way of cannabis, as topicals, as edibles, as concentrates, as the flower itself. And a good staff of people who are fairly well educated and getting more educated all the time about how to use it properly. We gave good guidance to the community. We got over 250 people in a program where we give away high-dose edibles, 420 milligrams every 4 days, to people that are using it to get off of opioids. And yet we got kicked out of here because we couldn't get Health Canada, even though we applied with an emergency application for just a temporary exemption to allow us to continue what we have actually been doing. I had the store from June, but we've been giving out edibles, over 10 million high-dose edibles in over 3.5 years, almost 4 years now. This coming February will be the 4th year that we started our program of giving edibles to people with no problems, with just a huge amount of success, all documented by Professor M.J. Malloy from UBC. Put out well over 50 papers showing how effective our program is in helping people get off opioids, how effective cannabis is in dealing with all of those underlying issues of opioid misuse. You know, the pain, the emotional pain, the trauma that people have suffered in childhood. All of those things cannabis helps with, as well as getting through withdrawal and getting off of those.
It's helped me with my PTSD.
You know, it's just getting beyond the pale for me. We get kicked out of here because the city refuses to reassure our landlord that he won't be fined retroactively for allowing us to rent here and providing this service. So against his better judgment and against his will, he brought us into court. The judge there refused to give us any time even to find another location. Our application wasn't to be able to continue doing what we were doing. It was just to have a temporary adjournment of our tenancy case so that we could get our licenses in place so that the landlord wouldn't evict us. But the judge refused to do that, saying our hands were unclean because we've been breaking the law for almost 4 years, because the law is an ass in this case.
It is.
The law is killing people. The law is preventing people from saving people's lives. Those laws are not of any force and effect in a free country where we are the masters of our fate here. Our system is out of control and needs to be redone because of all of this.
Yeah.
This is the best and biggest example of how we need to redo what democracy means, what it means to have public servants. This is wrong on so many levels. We know what's going on out here. Me and my crew of volunteers and people that work with me, Glenn included, and all the rest of you that have been following our journey for the last 4 years, we're on the ground level here. We're on the front lines. We know what's required. We know what helps people. We deal with the feedback every day.
Yep.
Thank you, this works. Thank you, this doesn't work. We help, we guide, and we're helping, and it's huge. And yet, we have had to fight tooth and nail to exist. We had to fight tooth and nail to find a storefront in the first place because the government is threatening anybody who's a landlord that they're going to be in lots of trouble if they rent to anybody who dares
to try to provide cannabis for people that's not part of the government non-medical system. So in a world where this is medicine, profound medicine, that's helping so many people in so many ways, for us to not be able to have a store for poor people to come into and be able to get their needs met during an epidemic of overdose deaths, not to mention the epidemic of poverty that we're suffering right now, and about to have that explode all over the place as more and more people have lost their businesses, lost their jobs, and not to mention the depression that's kicking in all over the place as well because of all of this, where people aren't even going to be able to function properly. They're going to spiral down into addiction and poverty and all the rest of it because of how the world is right now and the controls that we're under and all of the rest of it. So we need to have community-based cannabis stores with low barrier access.
Did you see that thing about Cowichan Tribe where they're going to allow medical and non-medical marijuana in the stores on the band's land? So there's a story that just came out today.
So is that legitimate or legal and illegal? Or
yes,
is this a new version of medical that's being controlled by the government?
I'm going to have to look here. Yeah, CB enters into agreement with the Cowichan Tribes for cannabis production and retail.
Yeah, I saw all of that.
Yeah.
So they get to produce, that's all, but if they're producing under Health Canada licenses and under those restrictions and regulations, and if they're agreeing to use all of the packaging that's going along with that, if they're agreeing to pay the taxes that are being leveled along the way, then they get to have a store. That's my read on that, but I didn't look far enough into that article to just see. But as my understanding would be that they're going to be allowed to use government licensed cannabis through their own production, but still subject to those regulations.
So grow under an ACMPR and sell it?
No.
Oh.
No.
So like a micro?
Like a micro grow license. Yeah,
okay,
they'll be licensed as licensed producers. They will be subject to all of those restrictions and regulations, and they are quite a few. And also the taxation. And all of that is what's inflating the price. So that by the time it gets into the marketplace, you're paying ridiculous prices for weed that isn't even
ridiculous.
As if it wasn't already ridiculous.
Somebody told me there was $85 for an eighth of weed.
And when the craft growers get to be part of the system, well, the price only has to go up; it won't go down.
You don't think so?
Well, the craft growers, that's going to be people that are actually growing weed that know how to grow it.
Yeah.
That's who want to be included. We've yet to see if Health Canada is going to really include them or not.
But if you add more, it usually pushes the price down.
But this new level of cannabis is what it's going to be for them. The government stores will then have craft cannabis coming to you from these people that really know the plant, and I'm sure some of that'll be good.
Yeah.
I'm sure some of it will. But what's the price going to be is the question, And there's ways to grow cannabis inexpensively.
Oh, of course.
And there's ways to grow cannabis expensively. Bob High, I love that gentleman, and he's had a really serious accident that happened August 5th, for those of you who don't know. And he's now going to be confined to a motor chair for the rest of his life, but he's fine with that. I visited with him yesterday, and he thinks he's got a new lease on life. He was having a lot of mobility issues before he fell down the stairs and broke his back and his arms. But Bob has a lot of very inexpensive ways to grow cannabis, and a lot of ways to fertilize your plants, to deal with pests. And you're going to come out and have a little...
There's a kid here.
There's Kato. There's Kato. So Bob's going to come on and help people who want to grow do it economically as well. But there's growers out there that do spend a lot of money. There's a lot of high-tech equipment. There's a lot of different ways to grow cannabis. In fact, some of the seeds that some of these growers use cost one hell of a lot of money. We're talking thousands and tens of thousands of dollars.
Seed and stuff like
and for some of the genetics. And they do put a lot of love, and they do have a lot of experience, and they deserve to be rewarded well. And I'm sure they will always be, and there will always be a market for expensive cannabis. But there are other ways to grow it. There are other ways to fertilize it. There are very economical ways to produce cannabis as well. And that needs to be in the marketplace, and that needs to be an option for people as well. So. Very good.
All right.
Wow, Jerry, you're right on time.
Yes.
No, you're 40 or 15 minutes late.
Yeah.
That's all right. What do I know? We had the 4:20 session, and I completely lost track of time, and it was good.
Do you want to go take a look at the order?
Well, Not yet. Not yet. I think we'll just change seats. You want to go out there right away?
Well, we've got more people in the studio here. We want a bit
She's
of a
all right.
breather.
What do you think, Jerry?
Oh yeah, she's fine.
Okay. So let's do it. Thanks, Glenn.
Yeah, no problem. Don't forget to call Tim Hortons about that app.
All right. and many other things you can remember.
Oh, I know, eh? Yeah.
So the next segment of the show is really dedicated to the pursuit of access to medical cannabis. It's been going on for a very long time, since the Parker decision in the courts that allowed for people to be able to use cannabis for medical reasons, and then the setting up of the Compassion Club here in Vancouver, the Vicks over in Victoria. There was the Cannabis Buyers Club in Victoria, and eventually there was a set of protocols that was put together by Philippe Lucas and Riel Kapler that has been pretty much widely used amongst these dispensaries for a very long time. And medical dispensaries proliferated until there was like 160 or more in Vancouver at any one time, maybe a little more, and many others across the country, including in small parts of the country as well, in small towns and what have you. And then we got legalization coming in, and Vancouver, even before that, decided to regulate those dispensaries. And Trudeau came along and said that that medical access to cannabis would be part of legalization, and everybody believed him. And so we voted him in on that platform. Can you imagine coming from non-opposition status as a party in the Canadian political scene to taking a majority and running on a platform of legalizing cannabis? It was amazing that they did that, but unfortunately they were lying through their teeth about what legalization was going to be all about, and access to medical cannabis through storefronts is not something that was in their plans. So they set about closing all those places down, and there was one in a small town in Saskatchewan called Whitewood, Saskatchewan, run by a fellow named Jerry Martin. And it had been running for over 4 years, and then Jerry got a letter to close down due to the legalization. But how do you close down a dispensary when you got 1,000 members and they're all using medical protocols with doctors on board, and you think you're going to be just included into the new legal system, and you can't say no to these people who are coming to you and relying on you for their medical medicine that you're providing to them. And I'll tell you, if you're running a dispensary, it's very profound, the help that you're giving people and how much they're thankful for it, especially when access is so limited. So Jerry had that going on. Health Canada told him to shut down. He couldn't do that. They came and arrested him. They seized all of his stuff. They charged him with trafficking in cannabis and other things. And he's been following that path now for over 4 years since those charges were laid. And Jerry, come on in here, sir. So honored that you come and visit us every week and fill us in on what's going on in this horrible, horrible travesty of justice, with our tax dollars being wasted by the day as prosecutors come and go and court dates come and go. You've had over how many cases? How many court dates? 38?
Oh, I don't know.
Is it 40 now?
Close to 40, I'm
Almost
sure.
40.
Yeah.
Every one of those costing us a huge amount of money. Your first prosecutor, Neufeld there, racked up a huge bill of hours, I'm sure, on your case. And then, hey, Chloe, you want to say hi to the camera there?
I guess start.
Say hi, Chloe. No, don't say hi, Chloe. Just say hi. There's people there watching you right now. And they think you're really cute. And they're like, oh my God, who is that? And so we just told them it's Chloe. So you can wave at them anytime you want. We're talking to them right now.
See?
There you are. Yeah.
That's you.
That's how it works. Wave it. You should wave at yourself.
Wave at yourself. Yes.
Wave?
There. You wait. Wait. 7 seconds.
There it goes.
There's Neil's wave. There he is. There you go, Chloe.
That's what we're doing.
All right.
So yeah. So all this stuff costs us so much money. It's just ridiculous. In the end, they're probably going to give you some compensation for your stuff, I think. But or maybe they don't give it back to you. But in any case, it's not going to be of much benefit to us Canadians. And they're spending our money to the tune of, what do we think, $1 million?
Oh, it must have by now.
Must have been $1 million.
Yeah.
To capture this guy and to punish him because you were helping people get cannabis for their medical conditions, doing it as properly as you could, being thanked all along the way. Nobody ever said, hey, I'm a victim of this guy.
No.
There's no victims. No one was harmed. Nothing was damaged. But the reputation of government, maybe, because they're the ones lying to us about whether or not cannabis is good for us or not. And so, this is one of the biggest stories going on in our world, I think, is the persecution of yourself for all of these years. After all you did was help 1,000 people get access to what they're now admitting is medicine, and doctors get to prescribe it all over the place. They're even selling it out of government stores and calling it non-medical. They're even letting people have non-medical cannabis.
Yeah.
And yet here you are, still facing court time, having to, put your life on hold. I just, I'm really having a day of just not being okay with any of this. I guess I'm never really okay with it, but, we plug along. But, Kato. Can we have a shot of Kato in his little house there?
Yeah, I like that little house.
Yeah, this was from Jody Emery. She came and brought that, and he loved it immediately. Oh, now he's going to come running out of his house. So, Kato, the shop cat who used to have a store to be a shop cat in, but doesn't anymore.
That's a bank cat.
To continue to update my little story, I was giving little updates for those people who haven't been following along in all the other episodes. But we had our little store after having 3.5 years of giving out high-dose edibles twice a week at the Vancouver Area Network of Drug Users offices. The city passed a motion saying they would support low-barrier access, and we've had meetings with the city about that, and we were going to find a store and open it, and they would support us. And so here we are. We found a store. We opened it up. And we got a good letter of support from a couple of the councillors. We got a unanimous decision in favor of low barrier access. But what we didn't get was a license. And what we got was the licensing department threatening our landlord and him eventually evicting us. And now we're in an RV. We're parked outside. We're going to go out there in a few minutes and check that out. We had to close down our store. But I could not turn our backs on the people that were helping here. Our program for 3.5 years of providing cannabis high-dose edibles for free to people carried on with the store, where we registered people into a program, over 250 of them, and they get access to what their choice of these high-dose edibles that we produce and procure. And the other side is that once we opened the store, we started providing low-barrier access as well. So low barrier access meant that the people in the neighborhood could come and get cannabis at really low prices that would help them, and get edibles at really low prices that would help them. And that's what a store is all about. We got over 250 people in our program that take advantage of free high-dose edibles, but there's a whole bunch of people that don't want to be part of a program and admit that they're using these opioids and that they can't get off them. And so we need to have it available for those people too. I love this. And so that's what we were doing. We signed up as members over 1,800 people in the 4.5 months that we were in the store here that could get cannabis discreetly and use it for whatever their needs were. And that's something that we also need to continue to have for people. So now we're in the process of getting the license from Health Canada. 3 months after our emergency application for a temporary exemption to be able to keep our store open, we did finally get a meeting with the Exemptions and Licensing Department of Health Canada, and it was a very, very positive conference call that we had. It was 2 weeks ago yesterday, and so they apologized for taking so long. They said that it would probably take into the new year, early in January, to be able to figure out how to exempt us or license us. And so that was all very positive. We're very hopeful that's going to happen. And so that's where we are. We got the RV outside, and we're still helping people get access there, and we're still running our program from there. It's been a very interesting few months. We just went through Christmas in the RV. We got a really tight crew, a very good crew of big-hearted people, and we help out a lot of people every day. We help out 250 with the free high-dose edibles every 4 days, 420 milligrams. We have over 300 people on a waiting list that we can't expand at this point until we get more funding from government, is what we're hoping is going to allow for that, or to get a license which would allow us to get a bank account, which would allow us to ask for funds. I don't ever fundraise for the Cannabis Substitution Program because we haven't got that infrastructure set up. We did form a society, the Serious Hope Society, but we still had a hell of a time. We have not yet got ourselves a bank account because our main mission statement is to provide cannabis therapeutics to help people in their lives, and specifically to address the overdose crisis. But our mandate with the Serious Hope Society is much larger than that, but all based around cannabis and cannabinoids. And so being outside of the government system means that banks won't open an account for us. So we're hoping that once we get permission from Ottawa to function properly here and be able to provide low dose or low barrier access to high dose edibles and all the other things that people need, that we will get a bank to open an account for us, and then we can fundraise, and then maybe we don't need government and tax dollars to help us doing what we're doing. But for now, we're maxed out at 250 people in our program. We struggle to maintain that, but we do quite nicely. And we're going to expand that when we can. And we're certainly hoping that Health Canada comes through with some sort of a permission for us in the next couple of weeks here. So yeah, let's go see what's going on in the RV. You want to, hey Chloe? Hey Chloe, you want to go out and see the RV?
Want to go outside?
Want to go outside? Yeah, shall we go? Where are we going? We're gonna take.
Before we go.
Oh, you want to show these things?
Yeah,
Okay.
I got new little mini kits here, little travel size, and I got a new product out, Prostalin, which is a mescaline analog.
Right.
So, and then we got 4-ACO DMT and the 1-PLSD in smaller travel size.
So I am being asked about how people get access to that. How do they get that?
Microdelics.ca, or we'll leave some down here for you as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
All right.
these are
Microdelics.ca for anybody who's not close to Vancouver. And they'll help you get access to these.
No, this one
amazing
has a
products.
couple doses. This one's 15 doses. This one as well is 15.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, I'm coming.
Maybe I can distract her like I distracted her.
You ready?
All right, let's do it. Let's do it.
Ready? You guys can go first.
Okay, I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna take that. Take all you people with me.
Come, people. Come, Mr. Tallyman.
All right. So here's the Scooby-Dooby van, the hippie RV van that we have. It's awesome. It's 1981, but for me it brings me back to like Haight-Ashbury in the 70s or something like that. Just to help people. We got the hot leaf in the window. We're trying to keep a fairly low profile.
Yeah.
It's a game we're playing with the VPD. We keep a low profile, they'll leave us alone. We figure every day without a raid is a good day. We don't really know what's going on. There's been high-level conversations, and they've discussed it with us. The last discussion that I had with the VPD was a conversation where they said they sympathize with us, they hope that we can find a path forward, but in the meantime we had to stop doing what we were doing. And I said, no, we're not going to do that, and I can't even really believe that you're telling me to do that, because I made it very clear to Candace Murphy of the VPD that we have the highest level people in the healthcare profession that back up what we're doing here, that have written papers on it, that have supplied us with letters supporting what we're doing here, and their opinion is consistent that if we stop doing what we're doing, the 250 people plus the other people that we're helping here will be put at risk of death. And so she continued to insist that we stop, and I continued to insist that we can't, that it's not within our possible conscience to do that. And so we continue on here. But we took down our tent, and we haven't put it up. We only put it up when we're giving stuff away if it's raining. We took down our signs. I did have conversations through email with the deputy chief, who's quite supportive of us. He's aware that we've had these conversations with Health Canada. And so we hope that they're just holding off until Health Canada comes through for us, or until that's resolved one way or the other, but we don't know. It could just as easily be that at this point, because I said we're going to continue and they said don't do it or we'll arrest you, that they are involved in an investigation of what we're doing. They will send undercovers here to check us out, and that at some point they're going to come and arrest us and seize more of our stuff. We really don't know. So every day without a raid is a good day. No news is good news around here, but one of these days maybe we'll get some good news from Health Canada that we can continue helping people the way that we've been doing it. So let's go inside. It's a pretty wet day out here. Christmas is so last week now. Now it's Happy New Year.
Let's get up
Happy New Year. All right. All right, man. All right. Well, welcome to the Scooby-Dooby van. We call it the Scooby-Dooby van. Now, Jerry, you coming in, or are we done talking to you?
No, it's two. I'm sure you and two now.
Okay, well.
I can move into the corner.
Okay.
So here we are, and we call it the Scooby Doobie van because we provide a lot of doobies from here. Everybody that gets their 420 milligrams every 4 days, they also get a free doobie. But everybody that comes to the window and has trouble putting together a few quarters to buy something, we don't take their money. We give them a muffin, we give them a cookie, and we always give them a joint. So that's why we call it the Scooby Doobie van. And it's been going fairly well out here. It's a little bit cozy. It's a little bit tight. It's probably hard on the back a little bit for some of us. But we're managing, and it's kind of epic times, I'm sure, that when we look back on this, having gone through Christmas now and all the rest of the fun and laughter that happens in here, it's a crazy place. We hotbox it several times a day. That we'll look back on this and think that, wow, those are some pretty special times, and hopefully we're looking back on that from a store where we can provide the service properly and not just from an RV. So Jen, you want to come and say hi to the people?
Sure.
Jen Nelson, you all know her as our social media butterfly.
Hello.
So how are you doing, Jen?
I'm all right.
Yeah, was it a good day today so far?
It has been a good day, yes. We're still giving out some of Mary's muffins. People are really loving getting those.
Yeah, we have this wonderful baker, Mary. She came all the way from New Brunswick to visit us here and to bake for us. And she has just been amazing. And she makes all these muffins and cookies and things. And she makes so many
magic bars,
that we're able to give out some. We also have Michael the Cookie Monster. And he has been providing cookies for our program for over 3 years at this point.
Time. I remember it used to be less too, and then he doubled how much he was bringing.
He brings us
because we ran out every time.
100 a week he brings us. We don't sell too many of them. We don't try to sell them.
No,
we just give them out to people. They're our fail-safe for people that can't be part of the program yet.
And there's a couple of people that like them so much they want to pay for them.
And then they get to do that.
They actually push to pay for them. They're like, no, I want to pay $2 a piece.
And they're very healthy. There's no nuts, but there's everything else that's not a nut in there.
All the nuts are in here, that's why.
Yeah, that's right. You couldn't find more nuts because they're all in here. Yeah, for sure. And where's George?
He went out for a cigarette.
Oh, okay. So. Yeah.
Well, we thought Jerry was coming in. That's why we were shuffling around to make room.
I see. Jerry has child responsibilities at this point. Chloe was a guest on our show for a little bit there, and then she didn't want to be a guest anymore. So, but that'll change as she grows up, right? So, what do you want to tell us about this program? What do you want to say? Anything?
It's amazing. We just make so many people happy, and we've had so many people tell us about how different products are just. Our kindness and other things have literally saved their lives.
So what kind of products do we have that people really like?
The edibles, the CBD oils.
What kind of edibles do we have?
Gummies and cookies and chocolate bars and hard candy and honey and infused olive oil and...
What's the power of the cookies? We have multiple different cookies.
We do. We have Mary's that we do sell if people want them for $4 each or 3 for $10.
And what do they have for milligrams?
60 to 80.
And
then we have the 260 milligram ones that are $7 each, or 3 for 20, or a maximum of 5 for 30.
So the milligrams of
and those have helped a lot of people too.
Within edibles, they're kind of arbitrary numbers, and that's one of the issues. Is how do you measure that? How do you have a consistency of dose? All of those issues are definitely here. What we do is a lot of in-house testing, and we get a lot of feedback from the people so that we know what's going on. I mean, nobody's going to die from eating too much cannabis. If people aren't used to eating cannabis...
You might get sick, but, you'll be
Yeah, you don't like it. It's not fun. Maybe you want to even be dead sometimes. I've been there, and I'll tell you, death would have been an option I might have taken had I had the ability.
The one time I greened out, it wasn't that bad. I didn't enjoy it, but it wasn't that bad.
I spent 3 days in a bed in Toronto in the back of a cafe, and I just couldn't get up. My head was this thick. It did not feel good. It didn't kill me, but I didn't like it. It's not fun, and we try not to let people eat too much. So we warn them, if they haven't had cannabis before, we try to get them to start really low and go slow. But for some people,
there's people that know they need a high dose.
They're veteran users.
People getting off of fentanyl and opiates and even meth and alcohol, all kinds of stuff. Like, they already know what they want. They know what they're looking for. They're like, what's the highest dose you have?
Today I saw an edible that was sold through one of the government stores. Put out by Tweed. Have we got that here?
It's probably in his knapsack.
Ask George if he's got that Tweed bar handy. because you can buy edibles in the government store, although they tell you that they're non-medical.
Well, you took a picture. Where's your phone?
Well, I don't want to just show a picture on my phone, do I?
I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I did do that and everything, but the real deal is probably better to show
Yeah,
people.
but Andrew's got to deal with the CSP right now, so.
Oh, so he's not going to let George in even, is he?
You want it right now?
What are we doing here?
I'm giving Glenn his Christmas card.
Oh, okay. So we have a little side event going on here. Jen is going to present Glenn with his Christmas card. Is there weed in it?
No.
There's no weed in it.
Oh, he gets great weed.
What kind of a Christmas card is that?
I do keep weed in my knapsack, so.
Duffel bag. It's in the bathroom.
So I found it here.
No, it's his first closet right
The
now.
actual physical bathroom.
So the bar itself, there's 4 chunks,
It's not in the little closet. It's in the
and they're 10 milligrams each.
The picture will do.
Okay.
So
Making it too complicated.
the bar itself, according to an online site from Newfoundland, sells for $9 or $8
You're welcome.
for excuse me. A total of
10 milligrams.
40. Oh, I got a frog in my throat.
Rah, rah, ribbit.
Emergency. Talk, Jim.
Oh, okay, so it was for a total of 10 milligrams, I believe.
No, 40.
40, okay.
Four
So there was only
pieces.
4. No, so I had 2.5 milligrams per piece.
Oh,
equals
right.
10.
Yeah, 2.5 milligrams per piece.
So it's a good thing I did speak for you.
Yeah, because I obviously didn't know what I was saying.
Yeah, so for 4 2.5 milligram pieces, it was like $8 plus tax, I'm sure.
And
So
that,
$10
you know,
probably.
how
for
much
10
of that is
milligrams.
packaging? How much of that is taxes? How much of that is chocolate? Not much of it is
Well,
weed.
The government has proved they want to be as wasteful as they possibly can. Especially with like the weed packaging too, like a
blew
jar
my mind.
inside a box for like 2 grams of weed.
Right at the time when they were rolling out the government stores and telling us about this packaging that was happening, Trudeau was up there talking about single-use plastic being banned and being horrible, and then
And that's what they're using.
that's what they use. I don't know.
Did anybody ever
upside
think
down.
that they were smart though to begin with?
Well, we never should have trusted him. We never should have trusted him. I mean, maybe we'll end up with proper legalization down the road. It's too bad that we've got to go through these years of corporate greed, you know, and all the devastation of the medical community. I mean, this has been a bad joke on cannabis consumers, the whole legalization. If you're a consumer of cannabis, if you want to try cannabis, legalization is a real cruel joke, because, I mean, the government weed isn't what you should be trying. It's so expensive you couldn't afford it if you did like it. You know, you go to parties where people are providing their own grown or from their own source, and you're like, holy shit, you know. So it's a bad joke.
Well, especially
on
when they want to
consumers.
claim it's harmful, yet they have no problem selling alcohol and tobacco. So
Exactly,
and that
exactly.
stuff actually kills people.
But for the medical users, this legalization is a nightmare.
Oh yeah, no.
I mean, there's
They'd rather have you suffer and be on pharmaceuticals and get addicted and then get all kinds of other health problems. And
absolute death and destruction as a result of these policies by our government.
my mom was
Absolutely.
a registered nurse and died of an overdose on pharmaceutical drugs. Right?
I'm sorry.
Right? But like, so yeah, here's that ridiculous chocolate bar.
Yeah.
10 milligrams. So you gotta eat that whole freaking thing. To
Chocolate
get 10
bars
milligrams.
used to be 10 cents
You
when
get
I
more
was growing up. Whoa!
Oops,
I agree.
sorry.
Throw that shit around.
But you'd get
hey,
more-
not damaged because it's got more packaging.
Right? But you'd get more high from the fucking amount of sugar that you'd have to eat from that thing than you would from the
Oh,
weed.
absolutely.
Like-
More of a sugar high. That's what the warnings should be about: is the sugar in this, not the cannabis.
Right at the back. There you go. On the bottom.
Well, I think you already showed the picture of that. But,
No, I didn't show a picture of this. I had the other side going on.
okay.
I don't know if our
It'll tell you on
audience
the
is
back
able
how
to
much
see
you-
this stuff.
They'll tell you how much
Very
you
well.
Basically,
not.
it's a waste of time and a waste of money. And poor George got it as a Christmas gift.
Going around and you there.
Sorry.
They might be watching.
Well, but they need
So-
to know the government stuff is not worth their time, right?
So now we got pretty much the whole crew here. Mackenzie is our other, we call them door people or security people, but really they're just subs. They come and do all sorts of things. We got Chris, the door person, working at the window right now. So, you know, we all switch places once in a while, even me. But yeah, there's our crew. Say hello, Andrew. Wave at the camera. Andrew did a good Santa Claus
I was just saying, keep your
impersonation
Santa
this
hat
year.
on for the rest of the fucking year. Bring it tomorrow.
And then there's George back there. Well, you're not. You're on me again. What are you on me again for? I've got to show him George.
The same jacket, man. He gets confused.
George.
Look, I had somebody come to the window and say that today. They thought you.
Even though I've never seen him wear glasses.
It was actually me because we have the same jacket.
I see. They thought it was me or her.
You,
me. Well,
you.
you have one too, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Am I wearing it?
All
No.
three of you.
And do I look like a man?
No.
A man in their 60s?
All three of you have jackets.
No, Jen, you do not look like a man in his 60s. If you want to hit on Jen, come down to the Healing Wave van. She loves
And
it.
tell her she looks like a 60-year-old man.
No, lots of people come and tell you don't look like a 60-year-old man.
I had somebody
This
think I was
smile
in my
is
20s.
contagious, and that's part of what we dispense here. It's not just about cannabinoids that are going out of this car. There's a lot of positive vibrations, a lot of smiles, a lot of laughter.
You want to know what's really
some
sweet?
food.
Okay, so you remember the other day we gave a guy a cake? Were you here for that? The cake that
No,
was
but
in-
I saw you had mentioned that, and
Okay.
I realized it's not there anymore.
So yeah, so we gave it to this guy because he said it was his birthday. And
Right.
It made him so freaking excited, especially when we threw in one of Mary's muffins. But we saw him
You
today.
should have given me a piece of that cake.
Well, tough titties. You have enough cake. My
I
God.
like cake.
You don't need to get fat. Come on.
I can't get fat.
But anyways,
not true.
he stopped by today to let us know that he gave it to a mother and daughter.
Oh, isn't that nice?
I thought that was so sweet.
But I thought he wanted it for his birthday party.
He
or something.
did, but I guess he thought a mother and daughter would enjoy it more.
Wow.
He gave them the whole cake. He didn't.
I sure hope it's a good cake.
Let's hope that it wasn't bad.
It was gifted to us, and we re-gifted it to other
People
people.
bring us a whole lot of
We
pastries.
do a lot of that. We do a lot of
Too many
re-gifting here.
Timbits and pies. And,
Coffee.
but it makes people excited when they get offered a fucking pie. Or kids are
I
like,
loved
really?
I loved handing out the turkey dinners. That's what I like.
Even the sandwiches.
The
like,
sandwiches were really good
people
too.
just lit up. Like, really?
Because I knew how good those sandwiches were, right? Because I know what, I knew what was in them, and I'm like, oh yeah, people are gonna really like these. But even the plate of food there, the mashed potatoes and the turkey and the stuffing, and yeah, that was. I was really happy to be able to do that.
Yeah,
I used to come down here and cook turkey dinners with Suk and Chris. Suk and Chris had a place here on Hastings Street,
Nice.
and we'd get their oven fired up, and a couple other people would cook turkeys as well for us, and then we'd have a big feast.
Nice.
So Christmas can be a decent time down here. In fact,
It
most of-
is. Like, there's so many free meals going on down here, especially like Christmas dinners and free gifts.
Yeah.
People have been, like, somebody even gave me like a gift that they got, which was like it's
It's a good vibe thing. There's a lot of good vibes. I mean, people are getting these things, they're feeling good about it. It really is changing.
well, because
the
of what
attitude.
we do, people feel the need to pay it forward,
Some of
and
it.
I love that. I think it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. It's all been a beautiful thing except the fight with government. If we weren't fighting with government, we wouldn't have a show on Pot TV. We wouldn't, we wouldn't be here talking about it. We'd just be running a little store and we'd be doing good things. And every once in a while, the media would come and show us because we're doing good things.
Maybe a show on Netflix.
You know. Hey,
that'd be
Netflix.
fantastic.
This is a show. I'll tell you. I kind of sit here in this seat and I think I'm watching an interactive sitcom. This is the modern world. I get to feel like I'm right here in the Scooby Dooby van with these people, and it's a lot like Laughing, because remember Laughing, they had the wall of windows there. You'd have a comedian come up and say something, and they'd say something, and the door would close, and another one would open. Well, we got the window here.
Yeah.
We got this steady stream of characters coming up to the window, and there's regular appearances of some of these people that we have on the show.
One that we all pester each other as well.
Well, there's that too, and there's a whole bunch of subplots, and
We could just set up a webcam.
Happy New Year.
Oh, you're on your way, Glenn?
Yeah, we're on here. We'll see you
It's
next
been a
week.
great year.
Bye, Glenn.
Happy New Year.
Thank you
Happy
so
New
much.
Year. Or as Facebook said, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Good New Year, brother.
Thanks so much, Glenn. He's on his way, but I mean, Glenn has been a huge part of our show for the whole run of it, and a huge part of what the CSP does as well. Regular visits to us at Van Du when we were there, helping us out with lots of things, bringing donations and stuff. And here he put together the fundraiser, which allowed us to have the giveaway. We had a 3-day giveaway this time instead of just 1 day, which we always had at Van Du. This is our 4th annual CSP clothing giveaway, and we had it running for 3 days, and we've still got stuff in there. We've still got socks, so we're going to have socks for people for the rest of the cold snaps that come through here, and other things as well. I know there was a woman here earlier today looking for a jacket. No, yesterday, sorry. We weren't open yesterday, but we do have the shop still there. And she came here. It was the woman that had the really bad leg.
Oh, God,
You
yeah.
know,
The one that tried to steal Roxanne's phone.
Yeah, and the one that Roxanne's friend gave the coat to over
Yeah.
here. Well, she was suffering yesterday.
We don't give up hope on people.
We don't give up hope. This is serious hope. This isn't just a little bit of hope. We provide people with serious hope. She's really kind of burned her bridge with us a couple of times, but she hasn't, because we won't allow that to happen. We understand that we don't understand. We don't know where people come from. We don't know what brought them to be here or how they are. We just know that they need help, and a little bit of help can really make a huge difference to people lots of times. And so in the case of this poor woman, she was suffering again yesterday. Sal found her. He called me. He said, "There's a jacket in here. Can I give it to her?" I said, "Absolutely." So, it's been very heartwarming to be able to do the amount of good that we do, but it's really a bit overwhelmingly distressing, the amount of issues.
Well, because we always want to do more too.
Yeah, there's a lot we see here, in this neighborhood.
We got a whole group of givers here. We always just want to keep giving.
There's too many people here to be able to rescue them all. But we can rescue a fair amount of them. And if we get government assistance in doing that, if we can have community-based cannabis stores with low barrier access, not just in this neighborhood, but I know they have similar issues in so many other towns and cities across Canada and North America, that
so many places I've made people comment they need that in their city. I'm like, every fucking city should have it. It should be like Starbucks. It should be everywhere.
And we don't have it here yet either. We're working hard to get it. We had it for 4.5 months over there, but now we have it out of this RV, which is not it. This is not it. Having an RV on the side of the road in the pouring rain, for people to come to a window and have us tell them what we have if they don't already know. And do it that way. This is not it. People deserve to have a store. They deserve to have a store they can walk into and feel like they're human and that they have the right to access this stuff. There's stores for alcohol. Just about every store has tobacco in it. Every gas station has tobacco available for people, and vending machines for chocolate bars everywhere. There's so many stores for so many things, but what we don't have is what we need the most. For the most valuable thing in our society is cannabis. This is the thing that people need. People need access to cannabis for all of their different health issues. For anybody that's got pain, for anybody who can't sleep, for anybody who's got diseases and illnesses and traumatic injuries and all of these things, they need to have a store that they can walk into that provides cannabis. Sure, we got drugstores, stupid as that sounds, drugstores.
Oh, it's easy to
everywhere.
get the stuff that you'll get addicted to.
But the best thing that a drugstore should have is cannabinoids. And so, it's just stupid as hell that we don't have this yet.
You can get synthetic marijuana prescribed and paid for.
Well, and now, there are drugstores that are allowing you to order cannabis online, and they're getting in on the whole issue as well there. But really, it's just stupid as hell that you wouldn't have what we had, which was display cabinets with all of these products properly displayed and labeled and educated staff to talk about them. That's what people need. It's one of the most needed things in our society, and yet we're fighting for it and not able to have it, all because of greed. It's just
luckily
so
a lot
bad.
of our people remember what we had and they know what they want.
Some people,
but we have a lot of new people that are coming by. Oh, my friend told me about this place. What do you got?
Yeah, and then for you to
have
go
to
through
just
the
list
list,
everything up. And they're like,
you got to say, well, what are you looking for? Flour, or are you looking for edibles? Because either one of those is a pretty long list. Another long list of things. Because people need these things in that variety of things. Yep. Not everything works for everybody the same way at all. Many people have different needs than other people, and we need to be able to fit the needs of the community. That's what we're trying to address here. That's what we want our public servants to give us a piece of paper with a signature on it to be able to do, is just meet the needs of the community during this epidemic of death from drugs, this epidemic of poverty that's down here, this epidemic of depression that's here because of the state the world's in. All of these coinciding and overlapping epidemics are what we have a good answer for, and yet we're struggling to be able to do that because public servants don't want to do that, because it's going to conflict with a gross monopoly, a takeover of the cannabis industry, an attempt to have artificially inflated prices based on misinformation and lies about cannabis and dangers thereof that don't exist. all of this is just driving me nuts.
Well, and I want to say, like, it's not even just our community down here that we're serving. We have people that are coming from Chilliwack and Abbotsford and Mission and Maple Ridge and New West and everywhere.
And from the more...
and even to get things for their parents and, you know, like...
And from the wealthier areas of Vancouver.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I mean, wealthy people don't want to have to go into a government store and buy non-medical irradiated cannabis that's overpriced and overpackaged and isn't as good as what they can get from their friend's basement.
Pretty much like
so,
Newtown users would
no
buy
community
shit.
has this, and every community deserves to have this. The government needs to rethink their whole idea of what legalization is. And they can have products that are expensive, and they can make some money on that if it's all about money for them, but they need to have products that are inexpensive for the people that can't afford it, that really, really need it in their life. It will benefit people's lives. Isn't that what public servants are supposed to be there for? What the fuck are we paying these people to be servants for if they're not going to help people benefit in their lives?
No, we're paying them to ruin people's lives.
We are. We absolutely are. We're paying them and giving them our money so they can run this protection racket of ruining anybody's life who isn't part of their program. It's so sad and so bad. And yeah, I'm trying not to be too depressed about it. But
I thought you were going to say Matt. I was going to say you're going to rhyme 3 times.
It was there. I was hinging on that word.
Sad and bad and mad.
It's bad, it's sad, and it does make me mad. And I don't like being mad. So enough already,
I get really worked up sometimes too. Like, it's just so frustrating that they're allowed to do what the fuck they're doing. And, you know, your people are allowed to sell heroin and meth and crack and whatever on every corner and in every alley and in every fucking building down here. That's okay.
That's the other side of it, is that those commodities, or whatever you want to call them, products, they're easy to get. They're easy to get. You might not have a store to walk into to get, your hit of meth or your hit of heroin or whatever you're doing. They smoke heroin mostly. There's a lot of needles being used as well, but a big thing nowadays is they smoke heroin. They get little pieces of tin foil, they put a little bit for $5, they get a little bit of heroin on there, and then they just light it with a lighter underneath, and they inhale that, and they fucking die. They die from it.
I've heard of people dying like immediately.
Kiefer died from that. I mean, fuck. Yeah. It's just stupid as hell, but it's easy to get. It's easy to get. You can walk down the street and get a hit of meth for $3. Another friend of ours, Jeff, we're just told he died of that a couple days ago. Because they laced his fucking meth. His girlfriend thinks they murdered him.
Well, but, exactly. That stuff you can get 24/7. But pot,
and not only can you get it 24/7, they'll give it to you on credit. You don't have $3 for a hit of meth? Don't worry about it. Get me tomorrow, and then they never forget. And half of their business is collecting fucking debts from people. They're right there on welfare day to take their money. It's just disgusting and sick as hell. I mean, they could do it if they want, as long as you had a little store you could walk into and buy high-dose edibles for cheap, and you didn't have to buy the meth or heroin on the corner. That would be okay. You could have the guy on the corner. We'll put him out of fucking business. That's what we want to do. But you can't put him out of business if we don't have the option, if we're not allowed to provide the option. So it's just, breaks my heart that this is still going on.
The government clearly does not want to end the opioid crisis.
There's a lot of that,
They fuel it. Here's a new place for you to shoot up. Here's some more needles, keep using,
We hear
please.
so much of that.
Keep using. We'll keep funding money into it,
They get to spend taxpayer dollars that they get a cut of to provide a service, and that's going on all over the place here. We hear this all the time. People come to our window and they want to tell us that this is just a big conspiracy down here to keep people addicted to opioids. Yep. This is where they want to push the middle class down here so they can get, what these people are into. They want to kill off people as quick as they can. We hear these conspiracy theories all the time. And if there wasn't so much evidence that shows that maybe they're right, then we would just dismiss it all. But we can't really argue with these people and say, oh, no, look what your government's doing here. They're allowing us to have this store and helping us with not donations, but with funding to make sure that we don't have a waiting list for people who want to get off of the stuff that they're on. But we can't say any of that. All we can say is, well, it sure looks that way. Sure seems that way.
Because are they opening any new detox centers or rehab centers? No, there's wait lists for everything. And you're expected to be clean when you go to rehab, even though you've been
so many people are wandering around. They're going into these offices. They're coming here. They're obviously fucking sick as can be on drugs, and they'll tell you, I can't stand it. I want to get off. What can we do? We have to tell them, sorry, we can't put you on our waiting list because that would be ridiculous because it's 300 people long and it's not going to work. But here's a cookie, here's a joint, come back tomorrow, we'll do that for you again. If we ever do get a way to boost our program, we'll include you, and then you could have 420 milligrams for free every 4 days. But, it's just... yeah, it's really depressing that we have to fight our government and that we have to agree with these people, that it really appears as though the government doesn't care if people die, and it doesn't care, not only does it not care about there being an opioid epidemic, but they seem to, like Jen says, they seem to be fueling it, they seem to be maintaining it. Now the pharmaceutical companies want to cash in on it. Well, not now. They've been doing it since methadone. But, there's Suboxone.
Well, because they get you addicted with something, and then here's something else to get you off of it, but it's not really going to work.
But it's a safe supply. So we'll get you away from the dealer who you can't trust because you don't know what he's got, and we'll give you a safe supply of this other opioid. It's more addictive. It's harder to go through withdrawal from. It does fuck you up, probably a little even worse than what the other does, but it's a safe supply. Are you kidding me? I mean, and this is just disgusting that the pharmaceutical companies who have driven a lot of this opioid addiction in the first place now want to cash in on it by providing maintenance alternatives. They're not cures. They don't go to Van Du's board meetings and say, hey, we've got this new opioid or this new substitute for opioids that we think is going to be really good for your people, and we want you to endorse it so that the government will give us tax dollars to pay for it. And Van Du's board is actually very bright. They've been at it for a long time. They see it coming a mile away. And they'll ask the question, well, is this a maintenance-based substitute or is this a cure-based substitute? Is this going to wean somebody off and that's that? Or are you just going to maintain on this? Oh, no, it's to maintain on this. And yes, the withdrawal is a little harder to go through. And yeah, there are some other side effects. But at least there's not the side effect of death like you get out there. So they're just using the epidemic of overdose deaths as a way to sell you their drugs. Yeah, well, use this instead and give us your money instead of them your money. And it's not about getting them off it. It's about continuing that fucking money flow all the time.
Well, what I was trying to say was like Trey Helton from OPS.
Yeah, love you, Trey.
Made a post recently about a guy that came to him and said he was at rock bottom and he wanted to get clean. And, Trey made all the calls he could, but again, there's wait lists everywhere. And
minimum 2 weeks.
And there's no proper transitions either from, detox to rehab to housing. It's like, well, there's another wait list, so you get to start over again in a month or 2 months. Or
and most of them won't allow cannabis use, which would be very helpful in the withdrawal.
Yeah.
Even the smoke cannabis helps.
But you're allowed to use methadone.
Well, and you're allowed to smoke
but
cigarettes.
But you're not allowed to have marijuana.
Yeah, you're allowed to smoke cigarettes. It's just disgusting.
Basically, nothing about our system.
So we continue to fight, right?
Zoom in on my patch that says the whole damn system is wrong, because it is.
It is. It is. But we're gonna fight it, and we're gonna beat it, little bit by little bit. We're gaining there. It used to be way worse, right? There used to not be democracies, for one thing. It used to be just kingdomships. How are you?
I won the case.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah, and then I was in Coquitlam on Austin Road last night because it was getting too late to come back.
Yeah.
And I was spending it with my friend, right, for holidays.
Right.
And so I spent the night there. I come back like a couple of hours ago, and I'm not back 2 minutes. I haven't taken my coat or shoes off. And the cops are at my door trying to accuse me of keeping my neighbor above me awake all night. So unless my cat is like Superman or something, right? And I told him, I said, unless you can prove that, I told you I just got in. You could see, right? I got my coat and everything on. And I said, you guys, I'm going to go after you for harassment.
They should be the ones to stop the harassment, not the ones to continue it.
And I said, I already won a landlord and tenant board case on them on the 17th. I said, so this is retaliation. These people are disturbed, and you need to look into maybe they need a mental health wellness check, right? I said, because I wasn't even here. I go, and if I was, I go, when did I do this? They go, 4 in the morning. I go, I would have been asleep. I go, you got to grab your sleep around here. That guy harasses me around the clock, right? I said, last night I actually slept 8 hours because I wasn't even here.
Right.
And they go, well, and I go, no, we're done. Here's my lawyer's number. They wouldn't take it. And they continued to try to ask me questions. I says, you're impeding on my rights, my legal rights. And anybody can accuse you of anything. Due process of the law. Get lost, right?
Nice, nice.
I said, unless you're going to charge me, and they didn't, right?
You just told your story on Pot TV, by the way. We're doing a live broadcast
Good.
right now.
I'm glad.
I knew you'd be all right with it.
Yeah, no, I'm good with it because you know what? Those bastards are dirty and they need to be exposed.
And this is a problem with renting down in this area, isn't it? That there's a lot of these places that are under control of places that don't respect people.
And the SROs and that, and if you don't do drugs and that, you will be soon.
Yeah.
Because like birds of a feather, you put a bad apple in with a barrel of, or a good apple in with a barrel of bad. You come back in a couple
Other
hours,
way around,
it's all
but
going to be bad, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, like,
yeah, well, I'm glad you're standing up to it and not taking it. And
I'm not taking it. I'm going to sue them.
Yeah.
And I called my lawyer right away, and they're knocking at the door. I go, no, I go, your services aren't required here, thanks. I wouldn't even come in the door. I yelled my lawyer's name through the door and wanted to give them the number. They wouldn't take it down. They still wanted to ask me questions. So that's against their own policies, right? And I told them, take a hike. I go, don't you fucking hear me too well? I go, that guy upstairs says he doesn't hear too well neither, so how the fuck is he hearing me?
Yeah. Well, way to go,
Offer
Lila.
them some Q-tips next time.
Thanks for the report.
Like,
She's been fighting abuse in her building for a long time. I'm really happy that she wanted to. We've known her for about 6 months since she first came into our store. Always very nice, very positive, and then she starts telling me about what they're saying about her, and that it's not true. So I wrote her a letter saying, well, our experience with her has been nothing but positive, and I can't imagine her, acting in ways that would be not positive. So, I mean, she stands up for herself, but that's all. She's the nicest of people, and just one of the regular visitors at our window in the Healing Wave RV. So there you go, and that's what's going on, and we're
I was
just
hoping I could show a picture of my missing kitty.
Oh, okay. Well,
This is my missing kitty, Scrappy. He's missing from the Powell and Dunleavy area of East Vancouver.
You know Godsmack? You ever watch
And I really, really miss him. So if anybody sees him, please contact Jen Nelson. Thank you.
Yeah, that's
it went black.
to lose a cat.
You got some of it, though, yeah?
A bit. If you send me that photo, I'll put it in the show
Okay,
notes.
sure.
All right. Very good. Yeah, I sure hope he comes back or that we find him somehow. It's only been a few days, so it really could. But I know how your heart would hurt about that. We sure love our companions.
Our fur babies.
Our fur babies. So yeah, before I sign off, I guess I should, got anything else you want to say? Andrew, you want to say anything to the audience there real quick?
Yeah, today I've had over 30 people for the CSP, and everybody's come for 420, and everybody enjoys it, and they love it, and lots of people have got off their drugs from coming here to get edibles. And Mary does a great job.
You're good to go.
Mary does a great job of making our edibles. I love it. She's a sweetheart. And I hope everybody realizes the way to get off is with marijuana.
Very good. Yeah, so the continuing saga carries on as we try to figure out whether or not we're going to get permission to have low barrier access cannabis stores for people. We're really hopeful that that'll happen. It'll happen if enough people help us. If you've got time on your hands, if you could look up the number of the health minister, for example, or Health Canada, or your local politicians, media, police, anybody that you think might help us facilitate what we're doing here. This is important for all Canadians. This is important not just for people trying to get off of opioids, oh my goodness. This is important for all the people that want to use cannabis medicinally and want to have a storefront or need a storefront to go into. This is important for all people who want access to cannabis that is reasonable and makes sense. We've got to not accept what we've been given. We've got to stand up against that. That's the only way we get change. If we comply with what they're trying to put on us, then they will continue to rake in millions and billions of dollars paid for by people that are part of the cannabis community, people that are sick, people that just need to use cannabis for all of its benefits. They're going to rake in billions of dollars on those people that they don't deserve, and people are not going to have the choices that they need to make proper choices for themselves. All of that stuff. This is so important. This is one of the most important things going on in our world as far as I see it. Maybe I'm deluded by smoking weed and my opinion is just clouded by all of that. But for me, I've looked into it for a long time. I quit my job 16, 17 years ago because I realized just how serious this was, and I thought something needs to be done about it. I've been working hard ever since there to try to get to where we need to be.
we've made great strides. There's a huge community of people that consider themselves activists, that have worked hard, that have done great work to bring the truth out, to expose the corruption of cannabis prohibition. We've gotten this far, but we're not there yet. We need to get farther than we are, and we'll just keep working at it. But with help from people like you, that we'll write a letter, we'll make a phone call, we'll have a conversation, we'll use your dollars in the correct way and support local craft growers through your local dealers and not through the government stores. We need to make all the statements we can. We need to turn this around. Not just because people need access to this amazing plant that helps in so many ways with so many serious conditions for people and is a way to escape from opioid addiction and the overdose crisis. Not just for that, but because it's just wrong for public servants to be able to put restrictions and regulations on things that are unreasonable and are only designed to protect corporate greed. This is one of the best examples we've ever had of how corporate greed has infected our governments and resulted in them doing things that no government should ever do. We have demonstrated quite clearly that what we have is a solution for many people who are in trouble. And for governments to interfere with that, to try to restrict that and keep that from happening, and to do it because we're interfering with their ability to have higher than prices that are reasonable and force people to buy through government stores, all of that is so wrong. It should never be allowed to happen, and it should never be allowed to happen again. That once we work this out, and I believe that we will, that we are going to, in our quest for the cannabis, community-based cannabis store with low barrier access, that in that process, we are also along the way going to be exposing what the motives of government are, what their mechanisms are for obtaining what they're motivated to get, and that none of that is about us. That all of that is about the corporate greedy part of our communities that want to take advantage of us, that want to exploit us, that want to monopolize things. And our government should be the opposite of that. They should be the ones that are protecting us from that. They're the ones that should be putting in regulations to make sure that that can't happen. And we need that in the future. So my hope is that once we achieve proper legalization of cannabis, and once we have along the way exposed the motivations of government and the machinations of government, that we will reset our democracy, that we will have a great reset of what it is to be a public servant and what it means to be paid by us to do our bidding, and that they should be recognizing all of those threats to us as individuals in a community and protecting us from that, rather than being bought out or bribed out or threatened out by a bunch of corporate bastards that just have forever had their way with us and want that to continue. Enough already. Let's have regulations that make sense with respect to cannabis, which are very few, and let's have regulations that make sense with respect to corporations and how they can exploit and monopolize and be the greedy bastards that they are. And I think we can achieve that with a little bit of effort from a lot of us, or a lot of effort from a few of us. But I think it's much more easily achieved by a little effort from all of us. So join the team, be part of the change. Let's help to work for the change that we want to see. And this is one of the big focal points of how we can do that. Pot TV is very good to me. They've allowed me to have my show for well over a year now, and to get this stuff off my chest. I'm just an ordinary guy that got really upset and frustrated with the way the world was, and this has been my crusade to try to stop all of that. And I've been facilitated by Pot TV and Cannabis Culture for a long time now in being able to do all that, and I really appreciate that. I really appreciate the people at Pot TV, and Neil, my producer, is gold, and all the other people that have shows are there because they care, and they're there because they want to get the message out. Their hearts are in the right places. This is not about money for any of us. And you can tune into Pot TV 6 days a week. On Monday, it's the 420 Lifestyle Show with Carly Marley and BC Budgal, and they try to entertain you while they educate you about what's going on in cannabis, and I think they do a fine job of that. And if you watch that show, I'm sure you'll have to agree. On Wednesdays, it's From Under the Influence with Greg Williams, who's been running Pot TV shows for over 20 years, the longest running show that is on our network. And Pot TV has been viewed and has subscribers in the millions, like any other broadcast mainstream media outlet. We're right up there with them. And so Greg Williams has been one of the
one of the creators of that and one of the people that made that happen for all of these years. And he still does a great show every Wednesday. Tune in at 4 o'clock, maybe just a little bit after sometimes. You know, it is about cannabis here. And he'll give you his unique perspectives on what's going on. And it's always a different way to look at things and a very interesting way to look at things. On Thursdays in the mornings at 10 a.m., BC Bud Gal has Morning Glory going on. And I'm sure that's just a wake and bake show. I've never watched it myself, but I know BC Bud Gal will do a fine job at anything that she does, and that'll be fun to watch. So, you know, Thursday mornings, look forward to that. Because Friday is when Johnny B's on with How's It Growing, and it's probably already long ago grown and been cured. He's on a second crop by now. Not sure where he's at, but he has great guests on too, and he's very informative. And in this world where there is some legalization going on for people to be able to at least grow 4 plants, and I always recommend you grow as many as you want. Screw a government that would tell you can only grow 4 plants because it's too good for you. Certainly it's not going to hurt you in any way. If they haven't got some good reason why you have to limit yourself to how many blueberry plants you have, then they can go take a hike, because why the hell would they care how many blueberries you eat? I know people who eat mostly just blueberries. You know, you think they'd be happy if they had a limit of 4 plants only? What the hell? So yeah, that's ridiculous. But people can grow, and people need to know how to grow. And Johnny's really good at helping you learn how to grow and helping you out with all those different ins and outs, all of that. And he has great guests, remember that. And then Saturday we got High Noon with Boss Lissa and her guest co-hosts, whoever they may be. And Boss Lissa's been running shows well over 100 more shows, right, at some point?
On the 100th show, he smoked 100 joints.
100 joints
what
on the
more
100th show?
would
That's
you
a while
need to
ago
prove
now.
safety? He smoked 100 joints in a row on camera.
So that's at noon on Saturdays, High Noon. You got to be high to watch the show at noon on Saturdays. So High Noon, you know, I already explained all of that as best I could. Sundays is your day to catch up on the shows you missed. You can go back and look into the archives. All the shows are archived on Pot TV. In fact, there's shows that have been going on Pot TV and for years. There's so many. There's so much. It's like a Disneyland of cannabinoid entertainment and education. And I'll be back next Tuesday with another episode of the THC show. We'll continue our little saga of do we or don't we get permission from Ottawa to be able to save people's lives here. We sure hope so, but you know, you'll have to tune in to find out. You know, it's strange times we're living in, and there's a lot to be concerned about for sure. There's a lot to be conscious of. We need to be aware and thinking about what's going on. We need to be conscious of the decisions that we're making, the feelings that we're having, and the thoughts that we're thinking. And you feel as you think. And I recommend you think good to feel good, that you spread positivity, that you try to look on the bright side of things and stay focused on those positive things. We all need to have a little bit of kindness, not just at Christmas time, but all year long, and especially in the world we live in now. Kindness is very important. I think when you're being kind to somebody, you're really being kind to yourself. And I think we should all be kind to ourselves as much as we can be. That's very important. And so as you go through life, be calm, be kind, and most of all, always have as much fun as you can.
Good evening! Happening! We're down here at the CSP giveaway with Neil Magnuson and the CSP program. Here is your host, Neil Magnuson.
Hey, how you doing? Welcome to the live giveaway event for the Cannabis Substitution Program and the Serious Hope Society. We're here at the Healing Wave hippie van that's been providing medicine for people for the last couple of months after we got kicked out of our store over there. But this is the 4th time that the CSP has put together a holiday giveaway, a Christmas giveaway. And here was Santa today. He thought it was important enough to come on down here. You know, the super spreader came and visited us here. And we're having a wonderful time. There's a lot of love in the space. There's a lot of things being given away. We got bananas and hot chocolate and coffee and pizza, all sorts of infused cannabis treats and snacks, and a whole bunch of people doing all of that. So come on, just spend 2 minutes having a look at what's going on.
Let's go for a walk, yeah. Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas, everybody!
Broadcasting live
here, we're broadcasting live. Merry Christmas, Jen! Hey!
Santa Jen and Santa John over there. What do you got, John?
We're giving out socks.
Pizza. Oh man, save me a ham and bacon. Pineapple and bacon, that's what it is. Ah, yes.
Okay, Cannabis Culture just shared us. We're on Cannabis Culture now.
All right.
Yes, we're out
Hey,
there.
all people out there in Cannabis Culture Land, we're a little bit early getting off today. That's not normally like us. But we did want to capture the moment that was going on here because it's really cool. We're doing our 4th annual CSP giveaway for Christmas. We got a ton of different donations from so many different people. So many people to thank. I can't thank them all. So you all know who you are, and you all know that you helped out with us.
Jerry Martin,
really amazing.
Graham. Lots of people.
Oh man,
Stu.
John Murray, we got Candyman, Doug and Michelle Sikora sent that stuff over there.
Let's go and show
We got,
their stuff there. Look at those edibles from Doug and Michelle, S&M. Nice. Oh, yes. We got clothing.
We're broadcasting live on the internet, so if you don't want to be on it,
Just stuck your face like this. Wear a mask. Yeah, wear a mask.
And you'll be fine.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
If you have a mask on, it doesn't mean you don't want to be on TV.
No, but at least you're hidden a little bit, right?
Yeah. If I get too close to anybody, I put my mask on, but right now I'm able to physically distance, and as long as I can physically distance, I just keep it down. But yeah, we're having a good event here.
Yeah,
this is more than we've ever had. And we're going to be giving it away for the days to come. It's not like Vandu where we only had just the one day.
Yeah.
Now we're going to be back here again tomorrow because we're here in the Healing Wave van, 11 to 7, Tuesday to Sunday anyway.
And you're doing a fantastic job.
Oh, thank you very much. Merry Christmas.
Merry
Do you use our services here?
Yes.
Yeah, he's got a hot chocolate in his hand right there. Look at that.
Thank you.
Oh, there you go. Merry
Bless
Christmas.
you.
That's why we're here, making people happy, spreading the Christmas spirit.
All right.
You know, it's a COVID year. We got to do this, right? Hey, Carly, Joy. Another Wells is in there. We got tons of stuff down here. All the socks that Cabela's gave away. John's giving away pizzas. What kind? Dudes and rolling papers. What kind of pizza, John?
I got pepperoni, ham, cheese, meat, all kinds.
All kinds. Pizza.
Infused with weed.
Yeah, infused with what?
Weed.
Oh, cannabis infused. So we got Santa handing out stuff here. Yeah, there you go, Santa. Thank you very much for helping out. Where'd you park the reindeer?
They're still up in the north.
They're still up north, okay.
You know, if it wasn't for these guys, my wife and I would be dead.
Oh, wow.
These guys saved our life.
Thank you very much for sharing that. Lots of other people are going to hear that. Thank you to the CSP.
So Glenn,
yep.
Matthew here decided he's going to give us some for Christmas. So
Oh, thank you, Matthew.
Is it all right to open this up on camera? Absolutely. All right.
All right, we got a nice
really
little card here. Oh, it's Christmas. Nice, thank you.
So happy holiday to the staff of the Healing Wave Dispensary as well as those at the Cannabis Substitution Project. Thanks for the ongoing work to help fight the opioid overdose pandemic. Thanks for being there to provide affordable cannabis. Love Matthew, and peace and joy in Christmas and throughout the new year.
Well, thank you very much,
really
Matthew.
awesome.
Did you get something to eat? Yeah, go in line there. Thank you. Free socks and everything.
That's really cool.
That's really cool.
We'll put that in with our other ones. We got a few other ones too.
Nice.
And,
I got Joe Pepper here. Pepper! Give away! Thank you very much, Dee. I'm on the camera. Oh, there's Landlord.
Hey, Merry Christmas.
Did Santa pay his rent?
No, you got it in your pocket still. That twisted one was shattered, right? Yeah, it's in their pocket. I know.
This is absolutely great. This is really lifting the spirits of the downtown east side. It's nice to be able to do this for these people. You know, yeah. Got some really warm socks, some clothing. Come on in, grab a coffee, grab hot chocolate.